Hello everybody, my name is the Critical Wizard, and welcome back to another edition of Critical Critique. Today, I'm going to be talking about something that I believe is coming. Not necessarily this year, or maybe not even next year, but it's coming soon. And that is the collapse of the Marvel Universe. Not the comics, of course. The comics have been going on for years, and the comics are fine. I'm, of course, referring to the cinematic universe as a whole. They're reaching a critical mass point, as it were. They've pushed themselves to the limits. They can't go any further with this. They've added so many characters and so many conflicting storylines, and to try to combine them all together is going to be so hard at a certain point that you just can't. You can't, you'll have too many characters, and you can't have all of their stories and still make sense in 2 hours. You're gonna have to leave people out. In the past, Marvel has done well with their crossovers, and that is a very, very rare occurrence. The fact that they had the first Avengers, you had 3 storylines, because you had the Thor story, the Iron Man story, and the Captain America story from 3 separate movies, and you were able to bring them together with some supporting characters along the way. Black Widow was introduced in Iron Man 2, Hawkeye was introduced in Thor, and you had Hulk. This was a new Hulk. He wasn't in any previous parts, but somehow you were able to combine all those people together. Right off the bat, that was pretty challenging to work out. Getting that to work was lightning striking. You were like, wow, that will probably never happen again. Then, when Avengers 2, Age of Ultron came out, it was, again, lightning striking, but it wasn't quite the same strike. You had even more characters now, and so you noticed, the film had even less of a plot than the first Avengers, because, the first Avengers, you keep the plot very simple, so that way you can focus on the characters. This story was the same thing, keep the plot nice and simple, so you can focus on those characters, but unfortunately, that you have so many characters now, the plot had to be simplified to a point where it couldn't even really be called a story. And most of Avengers 2 is just setting up for Civil War, or just setting up for future films. And it's you're not focusing on this film anymore, the film that you're currently doing. A couple of years later, Civil War comes out. And, yeah, you had a pretty compelling story, I suppose, but if you look at it again, so much time is diverted to the characters that there's a lot of things in the story that doesn't, only make sense if you've read the comic. Because there's so much going on, you don't know really anyone's motivation. All you know is that their character, and, you may have a little character motivation, but you never know the main motivation of, why Spider-Man decides to help Iron Man instead of helping Captain America. Or why Hawkeye just shows up and starts helping Captain... It's you don't have the compelling story to knit all these characters together against each other. The only thing telling you that this is Civil War, and not just, a little spat in the playground yard, is that, the movie title is Civil War, and the comic book, a lot of people who read Civil War, people recognize that this was Civil War. But other than that, besides a couple of characters, it really was just the 2 main kids had their argument, and they got all their friends to back them up, and then they had a little brawl in the playground, or airfield as it were. And it wasn't really a civil war. It was more just I'm mad at you, but we'll forgive you. You realize that these movies aren't focusing on themselves, they're focusing on future movies. So it's kind of like, well, this is the movie that's been built up. Why is it building up more movies? Isn't this the movie we were going for? But like I said at the beginning, I do believe that Marvel's cinematic universe has reached, like, critical mass. It can't get any bigger. By the time Avengers 3 rolls around, well, they're gonna have way too many characters, and it'd have to be like a 6-part movie to get all of those characters into the film. And, you know, if you leave out someone's character, they're gonna, of course, like, complain. Even if the movie was great, they're gonna be like, well, you know, so-and-so wasn't in there. And you'd be like, well, we didn't have room for him. And they'd be like, well, put him in there. Just have a cameo. It's like, well, then why would you be really upset? Because your character was just a cameo. Obviously, there's no pleasing everybody, but it's still, like, you'd have to make, like, a 6-part movie in order to, like, you know, get every single character and storyline to overlap and everyone to be, like, you know, somewhat happy with that. But people would be upset because now it's a 6-part film, and they're sitting there like, well, I don't want to, like, you know, go watch 6 parts of a film. You have so many characters that you cannot condense any storyline to 2 hours. 2.5 hours. You can't do it. There's too many characters, too much going on. You'd spend all the time meeting the characters. You wouldn't have any time for the story. It would be like the Adult Swim skit. The Adult Swim skit, Too Many Cooks. You'd have, you know, the 2.5 hour opening for this movie of introducing all the characters and their backstories, and then right at the end, as soon as the plot's about to start, you'd cut off to the credits and everyone would be like, well, what is this? Unfortunately, what I think is going to happen to the Marvel Cinematic Universe is it's not going to go out gracefully either. They're going to release a film, and it's going to suffer from similar problems as I just described, and it's going to be considered a bomb. Marvel's going to release another film, and, you know, people are going to start judging these films a lot harsher, and then they're going to consider this one a bomb. And then after a couple of bombs, Marvel's going to start scrambling. And, well, when you scramble, you end up a lot like where DC is right now, where you're just trying to get anything out there that sticks. You don't care if it's a good film coming out. You're just like, get Batman out there. Get Superman out there. If it sticks, great. If it doesn't, we'll try again. And it's like, that is the situation that DC is in, where they're just scrambling to get these films out. They don't care if they're good. And we don't want that from Marvel. We don't want that from any filmmaker. We want them to have the ability to take the time and make these films the way that they're supposed to be. So, thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, leave a like to let me know. And if not, that's alright. And I'll see you guys in the next part. Bye!